Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston, Miami. We got $200,000 up top. In this video, we're talking about the showdown slate on DraftKings. My name is DK. I make content for DraftKings for Prize Picks for No House Advantage. No House Advantage, they're the sponsor of this video. If you guys are not on No House Advantage, you can use the code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. It'll be linked in the description below. But basically, it's a player prop site. You can play Pick'em style, or you can play it versus the house. If you want my advice, I would say take advantage of all these codes that you can. That's what I did when I first started on these sports books, on these DFS sites. Take advantage of those promos and use the link below. Would greatly appreciate that. Helps me out, helps you out as well. And if you guys are looking for more content, you can always check out my Patreon linked down below. Do cover, again, Prize Picks DFS packages linked in the description. Okay, so let's recap everything from last slate. So last slate, cash once again. I entered a lot of cash games actually for the first time in a while, just because I knew I was building a pretty chalky lineup. So I played a single entry tournament and then a lot of cash games. I won all my cash games, just missing the single entry, thanks to Kyle Lowry going for the basement of basement games. I don't even know how that was possible. Going for like 7 fantasy points. I mean, you actually cannot make that up. But head on low-owned Smart and low-owned White. Tatum and Butler, or Tatum smashed Butler, were disappointing because of the blowout, and then Grant Williams rounded out the lineup. So lost a little bit of money overall, but still not a bad day. Hope you guys had a good day. Again, just cannot believe the Lowry game, just insane. But we'll start off with the Boston side. I think the easier of the two teams to talk about right now. So at the top, you have Tatum at 13.4, who I think probably plays 44 plus minutes in this game, probably plays the entire second half. I think him and Jimmy Butler are right there for the top spend-ups on the slate. So really do like Tatum at the price point. Jaylen Brown, 9.4, did finally have a pretty solid game. Only played 3 quarters because of the blowout. He's shown the much lower floor, though, in this series. I think an injury is kind of bothering him, going for 25, 21, low 30. So, Brown's been a bit disappointing, but the price point's also dropped him to 9.4K, where the ceiling is still very clearly there for him, and the price point is dropping. In the mid-range, you have Smart. You have Horford, you have White. I think Smart and White are your 2 safest bets. These are guys that in a competitive game, I expect probably mid-30s minutes from Smart, probably mid to high 30s minutes from Derek White. I mean, Derek White played 37 minutes last game, was on pace for 40 minutes if the game did not blow out. So those two, I think, are very safe. I think White will be much more popular because of the price point, and I agree. I think Derek White's the more optimal play. But Marcus Smart still has a pretty high ceiling. I mean, he went for 40 fantasy points in only 30 minutes last game. Horford would be your contrarian option, right? His minutes have been hovering around 30 in a competitive game. He's played better of late, 30 and 31 fantasy points. So I think he's the guy you use to get different. Still does have a ceiling. And then Brogdon, I'm not even sure if he plays. Even if he does, he's just a contrarian play. The injury has really affected his game. 0 of 6, 1 of 5, and 0 of 2 of the last 3 games. He didn't even return in the second half last game. So I think the reason you play Brogdon, you just kind of just hope that, I don't know, he can go back to normal and get decent minutes. But right now, it's kind of a tough sell. The only positive for playing Brogdon is he's going to be very low-owned if he plays. Rob Williams is 5K. I think he probably plays mid to high teens minutes, kind of just indifferent about him. Not a bad point per minute guy, but I don't really see the massive minute ceiling on him unless something really weird happens, like you get Horford foul trouble or something. So just indifferent on Rob Williams. Grant Williams at 3.2, I think is a pretty good value. I mean, he's shown he's going to be a big part of his rotation. I think he plays somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 minutes. Not necessarily the best point per minute guy, but I think he plays a lot here, especially if Brogdon is out. So I like Grant Williams a good amount for value. And then if there is no Malcolm Brogdon, I do think you probably see a few minutes from Peyton Pritchard, who's not a bad point per minute guy, but would really just be a dart throw. I think Grant Williams and a guy we'll talk about Miami here in a bit are much better values. But if there is no Brogdon, I think there's a chance that Pritchard does see some rotation minutes. All right, so moving on to Miami. And the big news, obviously, is Gabe Vincent. He's questionable. So with Gabe Vincent out last game, all the Sharks, everyone in high stakes, jammed Kyle Lowry, anyone for 7 fantasy points. So I don't think that's going to happen again if Gabe Vincent is out. But if Gabe Vincent is out, you should get Kyle Lowry starting. He should get a minutes bump. And then I think you just get a few extra minutes for guys like Martin, a few extra minutes for Strus. Duncan Robinson played more. He played well. And then Haywood Highsmith played extremely well off the bench, even started the second half. He's the one guy I wanted to mention. I think he starts. I think he starts tomorrow, Haywood Highsmith over Kevin Love. So he would also benefit. There's no Gabe Vincent. But at the top, you have Jimmy Butler, who we mentioned. I think is right there with Jason Tatum as the top spend up on the slate. Butler, $200 cheaper, but yeah, those two look very, very similar to me. Kind of will come down to ownership if I'm going to pick between the two, but I'm guessing they're going to be pretty similarly owned as well. So, like Jimmy, like Tatum, obviously at the top. Bam Adebayo is 9-2. I think when you compare him versus Jaylen Brown, for me, I give the slight edge to Bam Adebayo, who's just played better in this series overall than Jaylen Brown, but I think those two are similar kind of secondary stars on the slate. Similar price points as well. Well, Brown is 9-4, right? And Bam's 9-2. Yeah, so they're both pretty similar to me. I think I give the slight edge to Bam, but I think both will be pretty solid secondary options. In the mid-range, Caleb Martin, I think, plays a ton. I think he's going to play mid-30s minutes in this game. He's played extremely well in the series. I think he's a very safe option. Lowry, if there's no Gabe Vincent, I like. I know we had an awful game last game and let literally every single person down, but you have to have short-term memory. I don't think we'll get that type of performance again from Kyle Lowry. So I would be fine going right back to the wall with Lowry if there's no Gabe Vincent. If Gabe Vincent's in, Lowry's not completely out of play, but he would be that kind of ownership, low-owned play that you would go to for leverage. And then Gabe Vincent himself, if he plays, assuming no limitations, I think would be a good option. Just a question of, how mobile is he with that ankle? But I think he'd be a pretty popular play if he does play and start. And then Strus is 5-2. So with the emergence of Duncan Robinson and the struggle of Strus last game, you saw, again, Robinson play more, Strus play less. And that's kind of what happens between these two. Whoever plays better will most likely close. Last game was Duncan Robinson. He played extremely well. But it could very easily be Max Strus this game. Like if Strus plays well in the starting lineup, they can play him 35-plus minutes. So with Strus and Duncan, unless Gabe Vincent is out, I don't think I would play both together. If Gabe Vincent's out, I think you could play them both together. If Gabe Vincent's in, I would not play them both together. But yeah, I think, again, one of those two guys will have a decent game. Just kind of comes down to who's shooting better. Could be Strus, could be Duncan Robinson. So that one will kind of be an ownership thing. But I think last game was definitely an outlier game for Duncan Robinson, going for 37 fantasy points. I don't think we can expect that again. But I am more confident in Robinson's minutes if Gabe Vincent's out. Then Love at 2.8K. I think I would only play him if he starts. Again, he was only going to play 5 minutes, but got garbage time and smashing garbage time, which really tilts me for my price picks under. So I think I only play Love if he starts, but I honestly think there's a good chance that Haywood Highsmith starts. Just solid defender, just fits much better against the Celtics than Kevin Love does. Now, I will say last game was definitely an outlier. Like you cannot expect 75% shooting from Haywood Highsmith from 3, but I do think there's a pretty good shot that he starts. And if he starts, I like him quite a bit. I would say Highsmith is a pretty similar play to a guy like Grant Williams of, good defender, should see solid minutes in this game. Again, I think he starts, to be honest. So I would say those two are pretty similar. Now, if Kevin Love starts and Gabe Vincent's in, then Highsmith is definitely riskier. But I still think Highsmith earned rotation minutes after what he did last game. So I'm very intrigued to see what Miami does with the starting lineup. I do think they start Highsmith. So I think if Gabe Vincent plays, they'll go Vincent, Strus, Highsmith, Butler, Bam. If Gabe Vincent's out, then they go Lowry, Strus, Highsmith, Jimmy, Bam. I really do think Highsmith starts tomorrow. And then Cody Zeller, he'll back up Bam. He'll play whatever Bam does not play. He only played 4 minutes last game. They also could play Kevin Love as the backup 5, and you saw that a little bit in the fourth quarter, but that was garbage time too. So Zeller more of just a dart throw. Again, I think I much prefer Highsmith. I much prefer Grant Williams on the opposite side for value. And that's it. No one else I expect to play here for Miami at the flatman price. So that's going to do it for the player breakdown. I'm going to do it for the video as well. As always, guys, if you do enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you guys are playing Prize Picks tomorrow, make sure to check out my video. We already talked about 2 plays I like for tomorrow. Good luck. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you all in the next one.